I'm Jake Bruton, and today on The Build Show, we're in my personal bathroom, and we're going to talk a little bit about tile layout, but we're also going to talk about some mail order tile, which 5 years ago wasn't a thing. So when we talk about tile pattern, there are lots of choices. We can do a herringbone, we can do an offset brick pattern, we can do a grid. In here, we've done what we call a zipper pattern. So we are 30% offset, and then it repeats that same 30% offset. So when you work with large tile, larger than 16 by 16 in any direction, so these are 12 by 24, one of those directions is larger than 16 by 16, the tile in the firing process has a tendency to cup, to bridge upward. We used to be able to just lay that tile in whatever pattern we want. But now, if we do that 50-50 offset, we're now putting the highest bridged part of the tile versus the shortest or less bridged part of the tile, and we increase our chances of lippage. So if you've noticed over the past 5 to 7 years, the Tile Council of North America has started pushing for us to use a 30% or 33% offset even when we're doing a brick pattern. So you would actually have tiles that stack in a row. Well, the zipper is the first two of that 30% offset, and then it repeats again. So it kind of, zigzags back and forth like a zipper would. In here, we chose the zipper simply because this is a narrow space but long. The brick pattern wasn't going to read as a brick pattern, so we needed something different. When we transition from the zipper pattern on the floor of the bathroom, we have kind of almost just like a grid pattern on our curb. And then inside, we do have a grid pattern. In a smaller space like the shower floor, this is 5'6" by 3'4", I believe is what the shower is. A pattern's really not going to make sense. Even if the pattern looked like it continued in, when it's broken by that curb, it's going to read completely different. It's going to read as a separate floor, a separate space, and it wasn't necessary for us to continue that pattern into the shower. And so we switched to a grid, and we have 2 Schluter single slope foam pans in that space. And what we've done is effectively just slope the pans towards their center channel body drain, and then we're able to tile that drain cover. It's very simple, it's very sleek, it's very modern looking, where all we did was use the same white tile and the same gray grout on that floor, and we switched the pattern. My one other pro tip for tile layout in a bathroom, it doesn't matter what it looks like in front of the vanity, most likely. It matters a little at the door, it matters a little at the base trim, but I always talk to our tile installers, and it's something that I always thought of when I was the one physically installing the tile. You're going to sit on the toilet, or the client's going to sit on the toilet, and they're going to look at things. And they're going to see if you did a funky tile pattern in front of the toilet or where the toilet meets the tub. So when we start our tile layout, we normally start our tile conversation with, okay, what are you going to see from the toilet? Because that's the space where you're not doing other distracting things like brushing your teeth or changing your clothes. You're just observing the space. And so that's a place that you should think about tile-wise where your layout's going. Now, the real focus, something that I never would have thought of, never would have dreamed of a few years ago, is mail ordering building materials. It sounds ridiculous, but in this Amazon day and age, it's possible. So this tile came from a company called Zia Tile. They're based in California. The tile, I believe, is made in Morocco. It is a handmade ceramic tile that's just glazed on the front. It doesn't have any glazing on the edges. It's actually trimmed after it's pressed to be unique sizes. When you look at the edge of the tile, it's chipped away. It's also an extremely porous tile. So when you're installing it, you need to soak it in a bucket of water so that when you put thin set on the back of it, it doesn't immediately suck all the moisture out. But when we look at this tile, every tile is a different size, a different color. There's different crazing, cracking texture. That handmade tile is absolutely gorgeous from Zia. The way we found Zia is when we started looking at design ideas, we literally found this tile online And because it's different today, my wife just said, okay, well, let's just get the tile from them. They have an online only showroom. As far as I know, they don't have a showroom that you can go and look at tile. Now, that causes problems. When we're talking about tile samples, traditionally we go to the largest tile store in town because they have the biggest selection and you can't pick tile out of a book. Well, if you can't pick it out of a book, in my opinion, you can't pick it online either. But they have the system worked out. Other manufacturers now have the system worked out. We ordered samples. They came in less than a week, which is less time than it takes samples to get in at the local tile supply house. Nothing against the tile supply house. I'm just commenting on how great they were with customer service. And then we were able to use their calculator to know exactly how much we needed to bring in. We got it. We had no problems. It took a little longer than what we thought, but what building material in today's day and age doesn't take longer than what you thought. Challenges working with this product: because it's handmade, you can grout it or not grout it. You can trim it yourself so that they all fit in a perfect grid pattern. We opted for a grout-free pattern that was just simply, we installed it as snug as we could. Grout lines don't, or what would be grout lines if we were using grout lines don't line up from elevation to elevation. Different tiles are different sizes. I really had to take my time. I think this shower took me about 4.5 days total to tile. This is a 2-day max thing for me if we're using subway tile or 12 by 12 or 12 by 24 tile and grout joints. But this took a lot longer, and that time was worth it for us. I wouldn't put a non-grouted tile, something like this that might have lippage or sharp edges, in a kid shower, and I wouldn't put it in anything that's less than 3.5 foot wide in the narrow direction, because you don't want to necessarily hit your elbow. It's not a comment on the tile, it's a comment on the installation method. It's not as inviting to touch as, porcelain, white, ceramic tile. But it's a completely different product that's really pretty. And we're able to use the internet to source beyond our local market, and the internet finally can provide some things like this in a very efficient and effective manner. So I want you to look beyond the local. I'm not saying don't support your local, but there are other options out there. This is not a tile that we could come by in Columbia. This is a tile that we only can come by online. So we've taken a little different approach here. It worked really well. This is the first time we've done it. I'm guessing we'll do it again. Building materials online, it's a whole nother genre that we're able to look into now. I'm sure some of you are doing it, but it was new to us, and it certainly has opened my eyes to the idea of light fixtures, tile, different trim profiles that we might not be able to get in our market, that are maybe we don't have to go through a local supplier because we can actually get it from somebody who's doing it for real online already. So take it for what it's worth. Tile layout, think about where the toilet's gonna go and what you're gonna see from the toilet. Think about how large the space is and whether the pattern still makes sense in that space. And don't forget that you can get things online. Thanks for watching the build show today to talk about my bathroom. Don't forget Matt Reisinger, Wade Paquin, Brent Hall, and Steve Basic. We're all putting up one new video a week of content on Instagram. The stuff is fantastic. I'm so happy that I get to be involved with it, and I learned so much from it as well. So we want you to watch. Subscribe to that email list so that you get that Friday email from Mr. Reisinger saying, hey, here's what's new this week. You should check it out. It's a really informative, simple format. Check it on Saturday morning like a couple of my friends do. They just look once a week. Until next time, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching from my bathroom, which I didn't think that would be a thing that I ever said. This is The Build Show.